So just thought I would film one of the worst sections of our bamboo worktop, so you can see what it was like before. Sorry, that's my little one. Before we restored it. So it's really bad over here. This is where we had a bread bin. I think some water got under it and we didn't realise quickly enough. I think this was a plant pot again, and it's just got tons of marks from things and water stains, and then it's really bad around the back of the sink. So yeah, I can't wait to see this all restored, and we'll do a Instagram TV tutorial of how to restore bamboo worktops when it's done.
Just trying to get this top layer of varnish off.
Yeah. It's working well. Really well, in fact. You can see here the difference between this section, which we haven't scraped the varnish off, and this section, which we have. So it's coming off really quickly.
So we've used the scraper quite a lot now, and it's becoming a little bit on the blunt side. So we'll show you how to re-edge it to prepare it for shaving of wood rather than scraping, because it does need a bit of a preparation. So I've got here a diamond sharpening stone with 400 grit on one side and 1000 grit on the other. And what we're going to do, first of all, because we've just sharpened this to a curl, we're going to take it back flat. So I'm going to lay it there. Turn it over. I'm just using a piece of wood just to apply pressure evenly. Yeah, that side's nice and flat. That side's nice and flat. I'm going to do it at 1000 grit. I'll do that by hand just because I can. It's not really necessary. We've got nice flat edges, so now we need to make sure the top is nice and flat. Let's turn it back to 400. I'm just going to use the wood just to make sure that I'm coming vertically. For the other side. Okay, that's nice and got flat edges on both sides. So we'll come back shortly and show you how we prepare this for shaving wood. So the previous step, we took it back to as it would be new because it was already burled on the edge. After a period of time of using it, that burl was going to start not being as sharp as needed, meaning you're going to have to put more effort into scraping. So I'm just going to re-burl the top, but to do that, we needed to take it back so that all edges are flat, because you can't re-burl a burl. It just won't work properly. So what we need to do now is pop this in. Make sure it's nice and tight in there. Make sure it doesn't move around. And we have our burling tool. And we're going to do 3 to 5 strokes. And then we're going to come at a 45-degree angle. So we're going to come a bit like that, applying pressure to one edge. There's a slight curl there, but we want a bit more. We've got a nice little edge there. Do the other side. And you should be able to feel like a little nib on the top. You can hear that. And that's ready to use. We'll do the other side, we'll finish up, and then we'll be back.
So we've just finished taking the top layer of varnish off using the scraper. So that's all gone now. So we've gone back to the wood. The aim of the scraper was just to take all of the varnish off so that then when you come to sand, you don't get through masses and masses of sandpaper, because otherwise the varnish would just be clogging it up. So by removing it first, the varnish, you can just get straight on with the sanding and it won't take nearly as long. Some of the stains have actually started coming out, just even with scraping the varnish off, but that's not the aim. The aim was just to take that top layer off to make sanding easier, but some of it has started to come off anyway. So yeah, now we're on to the next stage where we need to sand it. This will be the bit where all the awful stains start disappearing. And yeah, and then I'll show you how we get on. We're just about to start the sanding now as all of the varnish is off. We're starting with 60 grit sandpaper, then we're going to work our way up. And the most important thing to remember is obviously to go with the grain.
And also to check the wax or the varnish that you're putting on, the oil that we're putting on. It says don't go above 150 grit. So obviously we're going to try and aim to be around 120 grit to finish.
Okay.
Also very important that we go with the grain. We don't want to be going against the grain because we can damage the top. And it's the same with the scraping. When working with wood, try to go with the grain as much as possible.
So this is where we've got to after 10 minutes of sanding using the 60 grit sandpaper. As you can see, this massive horrendous black oval that used to be there is well, not quite gone, but is well on its way to vanishing. So
it won't take long once we put a bit more effort in. You do have to push a bit harder, obviously, because that was a water.
That was a terrible stain.
Yeah, it was quite soaked in.
So we've just finished sanding with the Bosch sander. And now we just want to target these areas where some of those black marks are left. So we're going to use the DeWalt multi-tool, which is a really good bit of kit. And it's got 60 grit sandpaper on the bottom. So we're just going to try and get rid of those last few bits. And then we'll go back over once more with the Bosch sander. So So we've finished with the electric sander now, and that's done a really good job at getting out all of those horrible stains. But now we need to get right into all of the corners, which obviously you can't do with the multi-tool or the hand sander. So we're going to, with the electric sander, sorry. So we're going to use this now just to do all of those bits. It's got 80 grit on it, and we're just going to get into the corners and also do sort of down the sides of the sink here where we've got a butler sink. About 3 hours of sanding. All of the stains and all the dinks have gone. Looks so much better. And obviously we had that massive black stain here, and we had a huge ring over here, and they've all gone. So basically now it's time to put the top layer on. But before we did that, we've hoovered everything up. Obviously make sure you hoover the worktop with a soft end attachment, because otherwise it's just going to scratch it, which would be really, really annoying considering you spent all that time sanding it back. So yeah, tidy up, try and get as much dust out of the room as possible, because you don't obviously want to put your top coat on and then find it's got loads of bits of dust in it. We're going to be using this here, try and show you, which is this hard wax oil. It's not particularly cheap. It's £30 for a litre, but it had really good reviews, and we'd rather spend a bit more and have it last. It's child safe, it's food safe, which obviously is really important in the kitchen. So yeah, we're going to start applying that. Obviously it will need more than one coat, we imagine. So yeah, that was going to be the next step really, and then hopefully we can have some beautiful worktops. So this is the worktop after one coat of this hard wax oil. As you can see, it looks, well, amazing. Like, we had so many water stains on here, including that horrendous big black one here. And now it's looking brilliant. We're just about to put the second and final coat on, and then it will be done. But yeah, we're really, really pleased with how it's looking. I just thought I would film a quick clip just to show you the finished results of the worktops. I'll save it to the highlight that I've made called Worktop Restoration. As you can see, like, this was awful with the massive black mark here, excuse my dressing gown, and all of the water rings. It was, well, dreadful. It looks really, really good now, pretty much brand new. And the only step that we've done that I hadn't spoken about was after the second coat of the hard wax oil, we just gave it a really gentle buff. Nothing too much, but literally just sort of went over the whole worktop with this Scotch pad and buffed it. And yeah, that's the finished result.